What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Warframe. You guys all know I love my fishing, and it is time with Fortuna here to check out some Fortuna fishing basics. Now, first things first, the main dude, the business, is who you're going to be doing all of your fishing business through. And if you head on over, once you get yourself a little bit of rep, you can pick yourself up the trank rifle and lures, and the shock prod fishing spear, and various baits. Now, one thing you're going to notice right out of the gates are the baits are not craftable. I don't like it, I'll be honest with you. However, I haven't found a reason to use baits quite yet anyway. Now, I did buy some of these broad spectrum baits. I bought some of these Krill Er baits. And I've used a narrow spectrum bait, and to be honest with you, none of them really seemed at all necessary. In fact, the narrow spectrum bait brings the tink and the bricky, which are just massively in abundance without using any bait at all. Now, you don't have to buy this new fishing spear. You can use the old Ostron fishing spears. We'll get into those in a moment. Although they are usable, there is a downside. Now, first off, let's go and take a look at just the quality of fish and the different type of fish available. The fish are still on a small, medium, and large type of system like we're all familiar with from the plains. However, they are marked B, A, and M. You'll see this as you're catching the fish. The B stands for basic, the A stands for adorned, and the M stands for magnificent. Now, the M's, of course, are the ones you're going to want to hold onto and turn into for rep, and then the B's, or basics, are the ones that you'll want to go ahead and scrap to get the parts from them. Now, just like with Ostron standing, fishing can entirely get the job done for you. If you like to fish, obviously I love to fish in games. Fishing got my daily standing like it was nothing. I just blazed right on through it. Now, the fish are divided into basically three different sections. You've got lake fish, you've got pond fish, and then you've got cave fish. Now, the lake fish are all going to be in those two bodies of water right as you go outside, just to the west and then the east, the coolant reservoir, and then the attached smaller body of water over to the east as you walk out of the entrance. These are both the lake areas. All of the smaller little areas throughout the entire map are all ponds. I went and fished at every one of them just to double check, and they are indeed all ponds, and the lakes are in the middle. Caves, of course, is self-explanatory. You have to go down into a cave and find a body of water that can be fished in. Now, there is a lot of water in these caves. The caves can be hard to find compared to where the markers are on the map. However, the general rule is if you can jump into it and it respawns your Warframe back up top, that is fishable. Any body of water that you could actually walk through on your Warframe, whether it's causing damage to you or not, is not going to be fishable. Now, I mentioned you could use the old Ostron fishing spear. Now, the downside to using the Ostron fishing spear is it damages the fish, and by damaging the fish, I mean all of the fish that you catch are all going to have a B or basic rating. Just to test, I tested this at various different bodies of water for quite a bit of time, and every single one of them was a B. And it says right in the patch notes that you can use the old spears, however, they're going to damage the fish. So if you're just hopping in and you've yet to do any fishing, you've yet to get any rep, and you're just not interested in doing bounties or anything else, and you just want to fish, you can get out there, but you're only going to catch B fish, and you're going to want to get yourself that shock prod fishing spear as soon as possible. Now, I talked about the lures, or the bait, and how I felt that they were a bit ineffective, and I'll talk to you about why. Now, first off, having to buy them versus being able to craft them, in my opinion, is just a huge downside. I easily spent probably 2,000 standing today on various baits, just testing them out, and I got the same results whether I was using the bait or not. Now, this new shock prod fishing spear does have a little bit different interface It takes a little bit longer to catch the fish, just by like a second per fish longer. However, you're going to throw it out there. You're going to go ahead and target in the bar that's sliding back and forth. And then that is going to issue the shocking explosion that's going to stun the fish and allow you to catch it. Now, of course, this electromagnetic pulse follows that whole conservation system, and it allows us to conserve these fish instead of killing them. Now, currently the shock prod fishing spear does go buggy every now and then. You'll fish with it for a while, you'll not have any problems, and then all of a sudden you'll start casting. You'll see the electromagnetic pulse explosion go off, yet you'll also see zeros pop up as it does no damage. I'm assuming this is something that's a bug, and there's a real easy fix for it. If you just swap over to your weapon, fire a shot, swap back to the shock prod fishing spear, it's fixed. On the same note, you can always swap to another fishing spear, catch a fish, and then switch back to the shock prod, and it's fixed again. Now, this did pop up. I had this happen to me probably a dozen times over the course of the day on launch day, and it seems like it's a pretty common bug, as I did see some other streamers have the exact same issue. Now, looking through the qualities of fish, there was a wide variety of stuff. It wasn't like the plains where you absolutely had to have the lure or the bait to catch the fish. The fish are out there, it's just the fish that offer the higher standings in this early game stage are very, very rare. They're still spawning right along with the other fish, however, they are definitely without a doubt rare. Now, in addition to the lake, pond, and cave situation, there's also cold and warm fish. Now, the problem here is it just doesn't get warm out there. I spent almost the entire day outside, and the times where it did go warm, it was maybe warm for like 2 or 3 minutes. So catching these warm fish is a lot tougher than catching the cold fish, as it was cold or freezing just absolutely all the time. Now let's run through some of the fish that you can catch, and basically the two breadwinners that you're going to be looking for, which are the really rare fish, are going to be the long winder. You see that one gives 500 rep if it's an M rating. And then you're going to look for the Tramazon, which is also going to give 500 standing as an M rating. Now, it appears, just looking at the purchases of the baits that are available as we unlock higher standing, it appears that the end-game fishing, so to speak, will all be done down in caves. However, for right now, you can go out, you can catch these 500 standing fish. They're just rare. They do spawn. They're not so rare that you never see them. If you go out and you throw one of your luminous dyes out in the water, which do work here, by the way, I've been seeing like one of them in the lifespan of every dye, or close to that anyway. Every once in a while, maybe 2 out of every 3 dyes that I use, but they are fairly common. Same thing with the long winders. They're on the rare side, but they're on the common side. The long winders, however, are going to be the warm water lake fish. So long winders are warm water in the lakes. The Tramazon is cold weather in the ponds. So the majority of the time it's going to be cold, so you're going to want to be fishing the ponds right as we get started off until we get that standing unlocked. But let's go through the fish and see some of what's available. We see the bricky. The bricky is found in ponds throughout during the cold time. So the majority of the time you're going to see brickies. You're going to see a lot of brickies, and they are just quite abundant. An M rating bricky gives 70. It's not, obviously not one of the high-end fish. However, it's not as worse as it gets. Now, the Echo Winder. The Echo Winders are a warm water lake fish. So these are a little bit more rare just because it never gets warm out. However, when it does, head to the lake and you're going to find those Echo Finders. Now, the eyes were really, really common. They actually give 100 standing for an M-rated eye. These are during cold times in the ponds. So head out to the ponds during the cold. Eyes are going to be there without a doubt. Then we've got Krill Er. Krill Er is another warm water lake fish. It gives 100 standing for an M-rated fish. However, they're only going to be there when it's warm outside. We talked about the long winder already. This is one of the sweet spot fish. Now, all of these fish right here were caught not using any bait at all. So I definitely urge people to go out and do some fishing and don't sweat the bait. By all means, make some of those luminous dye and bring them with you. I went through about 100 of them today. Then we got the Meyer winder. The Meyer winder I was a little disappointed in because it was difficult to find down in caves. And then they give this low amount of standing. Only 60 for an A, 45 for a B. And that's all I caught was just the 2. As the luminous dye doesn't work in the caves, the bodies of water are really, really small. The fish are tough to see. So you're just not going to catch a lot of them down in the caves until you get maybe some of the higher standing baits available. Now we got the recaster. The recaster was very common as well. It is in ponds throughout during the cold spell. The recasters do go up to 100 standing if they're an M rating. You see they're 45 at B and then 60 at A. Sap caddies. Sap caddies are in the lakes when it's cold, and these are the trash fish, basically. They are in abundance. You could go out here to the lakes when it's cold out, throw a luminous dye in, and the lake is going to be lit up with these sap caddies, as they're just everywhere. The scrubbers are another of the cave fish. So this was the more common of the cave fish that I've seen. As you see, at an M rating, though, it only gives you 70. So not spectacular on the Lobe cave fish. And then we've got the tinks. Tinks are the cold water trash fish in ponds. You're going to be fishing in ponds, as that's where you're going to find these traumazons, which are in abundance, or not in abundance, but the cold time is abundant, and this is the rare fish during the cold time that you're going to be looking for. So you are going to see a ton of tinks floating around, and these are the most common cold water pond fish for sure, and then of course their standing values represent that as well. And then we discussed the traumazon. 300, 200, 300, and 500. These are the fish that you're going to want to target. You're going to find them. Although they're rare, they are indeed out there. Now, taking a look through the available baits coming up. Now, as you see, I'm at Outworlder now, so I've gone through the first tier. Next up comes Rapscallion, and you see sap caddies. I don't understand why you would want a sap caddy bait, as they're just straight up everywhere. You just don't need a bait for it. Recasters as well, they were very, very common. This is going to be the 100 standing fish during the cold in the ponds. Once again, they were common enough with me just out fishing that I don't feel like I would need the bait. Now, moving right along to the next tier, the Doer, we got the Traumazon. Now, this bait I will definitely try out. It's 300 a pop. This thing had better work, but obviously, if you can convert your entire pond during the cool weather over to Traumazons, you're going to be in great shape as far as standing goes. And then we've got some cave fish, and this is what I meant by when I said I thought the end game of fishing was going to be down in caves. We've got this Charamote, and then we've also got the Synethid. These are both cave fish, says found in cave hotspots. I actually didn't even find a cave hotspot. Now, the hotspots above ground, they look a little different than they did in the plains. However, they're very obvious to see. You'll see them everywhere. They're very, very common. I didn't ever find a hotspot in a cave, so I'm not sure if these fish would show up just as rare spawns in the cave right now. But you've got the Synethid and the Charamote, which will come later. So basically, I spent all of my time fishing during the cool time, which is the majority of the time, out at the ponds, and then every time that it got warm, I rushed inward into the lakes. So ponds during the majority of the time, lakes during the warm season, and that is going to get you started and get that Solaris rep ranked right up for you. Now, there's one other important thing about fish, and that, of course, is you can also dismantle your servo fish. Now, when you dismantle your servo fish, you're going to get various parts. Let's grab just a few of each here. Let's see, let's grab an Echo Winder, an II. We'll grab a Krill Er. I'm not going to do the Long Winder, just because I didn't catch very many of them. We'll grab a Recaster, a Sap Caddy, and then, say, a Tank. And let's dismantle them and see what we get. We see Magneto cases, thermal lasers, neural relays, battery scraps, dissipators, roto blades, aniscopic sensors, all kinds of good stuff. In addition to using this stuff for crafting, if you go directly up above the business, you're going to be able to buy people's debt. So if you head on out, jump up here, and head on inside to Ticker, and you can buy debt bonds. Now, when you buy debt bonds, sometimes they only cost credits. This is another huge way to earn Solaris standing. As you turn these debt bonds in and get the standing, as you see, I've got just a ton of them already just from the first day. So I've got several days worth of Solaris rep just from these debt bonds. Now, the debt bonds do refresh periodically. When you go to purchase them, you're going to see what they take to buy. Here, this one's just plastids and credits, and you're going to get 5 advances debt bonds and 10 shelter debt bonds. Here we got Axidrol alloy. Obviously, I got tons of ferrite. If I had the Axidrol alloy, I would buy that one. Travesite alloy, same thing there. Salvage, could buy that one. Vernardo alloy and salvage. I've actually got some of that back in my ship crafting. I should come down and grab that one before it expires. As you see, the timer on it is 11 hours and 6 minutes left there. And then this one, a muon battery, which we just got from the fish, and 157,000 credits, and it's giving you 5 of each of the debt bonds. I'm just going to go ahead and buy that right now. That way I have them. And the debt bonds are also going to be just a huge way for you to earn just massive amounts of Solaris standing. So hopefully this helps get you started, particularly with fishing. As you guys know, I just absolutely love it. So thank you all so much for watching. Click that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. I do stream Warframe quite frequently over on Twitch. So swing on by and say hello Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday nights live over on Twitch. Now, with Fortuna being so fresh, I will be streaming quite a bit of Warframe over the next week or so here on YouTube and Twitch, enjoying all the hotness. So make sure you swing by and say what's up. So thank you once again, and I will see you next time around. Take it easy.